There are women men simply like, and there are women who leave a mark on their soul. You're about to understand the difference, because what truly makes a man desire you, dream about you, and be unable to get you out of his mind, even as days go by, isn't your looks or your words. It's your energy. It's that invisible field that vibrates beyond what you can see, and that he feels without even knowing why. In this video, I'm going to reveal how to become the kind of woman who leaves a deep emotional imprint. The woman who activates something in him he can't even explain. From the perspective of Carl Jung and the most powerful archetypal feminine energy there is. The magnetic woman. Stay until the end, and if you're already feeling that inner spark, hit like right now and subscribe. It's completely free for you, and it helps me out a lot. I promise you one thing. You'll never again beg for connection. Your energy doesn't lie. What you project is what either attracts or repels. There's a truth many women ignore their entire lives, and because of it, they remain stuck in empty bonds, one-sided relationships, or that endless role of almost something that never becomes real. The male unconscious doesn't fall in love with your words, your body, or your sweetness. It falls in love with your energy, and that energy can't be faked. You can look perfect, say all the right things, have the best intentions, but if your emotional field is vibrating from neediness, fear of abandonment, or the inner pressure to be chosen, that energy seeps through like a psychic whisper that he picks up, even if he can't explain how. Carl Jung explained it clearly. The unconscious communicates without words. It's an invisible dance of symbols, wounds, projections, and emotional pulses that are felt before they're thought. And in that dance, a woman who vibrates from lack triggers the instinct to pull away. Not because she's not enough, but because her emotional field sends the message, I need you to complete me. And that, instead of attracting, creates an energetic pressure that exhausts him, kills desire, and dissolves the mystery. Let me tell you plainly, masculine desire is born from what you radiate, from what you emanate when you're no longer seeking validation. The magnetic woman isn't chasing love, isn't forcing attention, and isn't adjusting who she is to fit in. She is full, complete, vibrating with her center active, and that energy is addictive. And here's where many women ask, so, should I pretend to be indifferent? Should I act like I don't care? No, because that too is obvious. What you project doesn't depend on your gestures. It comes from your underlying emotional frequency. It's energy, not strategy. And if your energy is full of waiting, doubt, or emotional hunger, that's what he'll feel. Let me tell you a real story to make this point clearer. Mariana had everything society considers attractive. She was beautiful, successful, sweet. She was always there for the men she dated, attentive, thoughtful, present. But time and again after a few weeks, they'd drift away. They'd tell her she was too good, that it wasn't the right moment, or they'd simply disappear without explanation. She couldn't understand what she was doing wrong, until one day a therapist told her something that shook her to her core. Your energy doesn't invite a man to stay. It invites him to admire you, and then to leave, because you're not vibrating from your truth, but from your anxiety to be liked. That sentence shattered her, but it was also the beginning of her transformation. Mariana began doing deep shadow work. She discovered that as a child, she'd had to be perfect to be loved, that she'd learned to please, to avoid conflict, to never be a bother. And that unconscious pattern was still alive in every adult relationship. She wasn't showing who she really was. She was showing who she thought she had to be so she wouldn't be left. Her emotional field was full of silent anxiety, fear of not being enough, and a forced hyper-availability. And even though she didn't say any of that out loud, it was palpable. Because the unconscious always speaks louder than words. Through her work on her energy, Mariana began to reprogram herself. She started setting boundaries, saying what she thought, allowing herself moments of silence, not replying immediately, choosing from a place of calm. And without realizing it, her energy changed. One day, a new man looked at her with a different intensity, not with neediness, but with respect. He said, "There's something about you that intrigues me, like I can't quite figure you out, but at the same time, I can't stop thinking about you." That phrase reflected her new vibration. She was no longer the perfect woman, she was the real woman. She was no longer the safe option, she was embodied mystery. And here lies the key to all this. A woman who projects fullness without arrogance, truth without fear, and presence without need activates an archetype in the male unconscious that cannot be erased. Such a woman becomes a symbol, a unique emotional experience that leaves an imprint. Carl Jung called it the active anima, the internal feminine image that a man seeks externally, but which he only recognizes when it vibrates with an energy he perceives as sacred, unique, different from anything he's ever known. And that woman doesn't have to be the most beautiful, the most intelligent, or the most charming. She just has to be herself, without distortion. Because her authenticity awakens her energetic field, and that field is what men truly feel. So now I'm asking you, from where are you projecting your energy? From fullness or from lack? From your denied shadow or from your integrated truth? Because you can put on makeup, you can smile, you can say everything's fine, but if your vibration is screaming, "Please choose me," that invisible pleading is obvious, and it pushes men away. On the other hand, if your vibration emanates, "I've already chosen myself," that's where the magic happens. That's where you stop being just another option and become unforgettable. But be careful, because in the next point, you'll discover that it's not only about your present energy, it's also about an archetype operating in your shadow, one that will keep you begging for love even when you think you're in your power. Because what's coming next will expose the imposter living inside you, the hidden archetype that makes you beg for love without even realizing it. You might think you've stopped begging for love, that you've learned, that you value yourself, that you know how to set boundaries. But if after giving everything, a part of you is still asking why you're not being chosen, it's because you haven't yet seen the hidden archetype that shapes how you love from the shadows. And until you see it, you'll keep sabotaging your magnetic power without realizing it. Carl Jung used to say that what you don't make conscious controls you from the shadow. And you'll call it fate. Do you know what that means when applied to love? It means that no matter how hard you work on your self-esteem, if there's still an archetype in your unconscious that learned to love through pain, you'll keep repeating the same pattern under different names. People who excite you but vanish, relationships where you give more than you get, dynamics where you adapt, justify, minimize yourself. And worst of all, you see it as normal. And do you know which archetype hides most deeply in women who desperately want to be truly loved? The invisible good girl. She's not the obviously submissive woman. She's not the one who stays silent about everything. She's far subtler. She's that part of you that believes that to be loved, she has to prove she's unconditional, understanding, available, and that she doesn't complicate anyone's life. She's the one who swallows her pain, even when it hurts. The one who holds back her questions, even when she wants to ask. The one who's always there for him, but not there for herself. And that energy, even if it comes from the best intentions, doesn't attract, it overwhelms. Because it projects a lack of center, of mystery, of real emotional tension. And the worst part is, you don't even realize it. Because you think you're loving the right way, but your vibration is screaming, "Look at me, I'm everything you need, why won't you stay?" Let me tell you a true story to make this even clearer. Sabrina was 34 years old. And every relationship she started ended the same way, with her crying in front of the mirror, asking herself why, after giving everything, the guy simply lost interest and left. She was generous, loyal, always willing to support, to care, to listen. But none of the men who touched her emotionally ever truly chose her. Until one therapy session, after much resistance, Sabrina had a brutal realization. "I don't want to be loved. I want to be validated. And that's why I give so much, because deep down, I don't believe I'm enough to be chosen effortlessly." And that's when her archetype showed up. The little girl who tries to earn love. That wounded part of her unconscious that since childhood learned that to be noticed, she had to behave, be useful, be impeccable. That love wasn't something you received just for being who you are, but something you earned by making yourself the best option. Sabrina wasn't weak, she was powerful. But her power was hijacked by an old program. She wasn't choosing from her essence. She was choosing from her fear of not being enough. And that fear, disguised as pure love, was precisely what kept men from seeing her as an emotional adventure. and instead made her feel like an emotional comfort zone that didn't spark desire, challenge, or true admiration. Carl Jung explained that the archetype of the unconscious woman is conditioned by unresolved childhood experiences, meaning that if you don't heal the little girl you once were, she'll be the one engaging with the world, even if you're 40 years old. And that little girl is not magnetic. She's invisible because she's seeking approval, not love. Now look at yourself with honesty. When did you start feeling like you had to do something to be chosen? How many times have you felt you're giving more than you're receiving? But you stay, waiting for the other person to wake up. And how many times, right when you start pulling away, suddenly they come looking for you? That's the twisted game of the archetype living in your shadow. It makes you believe that if you give more, they'll value you, when the reality is the more you give to yourself, the more valuable you become to others. And why? Because your vibration shifts. You move from the energy of give me love to the energy of I am love. And that can't be faked. It radiates, it's felt, it becomes a magnet. But to get there, first you have to look at the part of you who became the good girl to survive, and tell her, I don't need you anymore to be loved. I don't have to sacrifice myself. I don't have to adapt. I don't have to wait for him. Because when you dare to break that archetype, when you look in the mirror without masks, when you feel like you don't have to prove anything, that's when true feminine energy begins to emerge. The kind that doesn't ask permission. The kind that doesn't apologize for her intensity. The kind that doesn't have to be perfect to be unforgettable. And here comes the great revelation. A magnetic woman isn't the one who gives it all. She's the one who gives to herself first. And from that place, her presence becomes irresistible. But watch out, because the next point isn't about giving more or holding back. It's about learning how the magnetic woman truly behaves through actions, energy, silences, and decisions that activate a force he simply can't ignore. Get ready, because what's coming next is pure emotional alchemy. How does a magnetic woman behave? And how can you activate that real energetic state? Before we go any further, if this message is already stirring something inside you, subscribe right now and hit like so we can let YouTube know this content is valuable and help it reach more people. Thank you so much. Listen carefully. A magnetic woman isn't the most beautiful one, nor the most charming, nor the one who adapts the most. She's the woman who has something that can't be copied or faked, an emotional vibration that awakens something in another person, something he doesn't even fully understand himself. Carl Jung would explain it like this. She's a woman who has integrated her shadow, who doesn't live only through her social persona, but from a raw, magnetic authenticity that doesn't need explaining. And when that happens, her very presence sweetly destabilizes anyone who observes her, because she isn't logic, she's pure energy. And do you know what the most striking difference is between a woman who begs for love and a magnetic woman? The first needs to be chosen. The second chooses herself so firmly that if someone doesn't vibe with her, she doesn't budge an inch. But how does a magnetic woman really behave? I'll tell you directly, and you'll understand it through the story of Vanessa. Vanessa wasn't always this way. She used to be the classic, ideal woman. Thoughtful, understanding, charming. But she always ended up the same way. Heartbroken, feeling inadequate, and wondering if she needed to change even more about herself. One day, after yet another romantic disappointment, she'd had enough. Not with the other person, but with herself. She started going to therapy, questioning herself, refusing to run from her shadow, and letting go of her fear of showing herself as intense, emotional, powerful, even uncomfortable. And then, something in her energetic field shifted. She no longer replied immediately to ambiguous messages. She no longer needed to prove she was the perfect choice. She stopped feeling guilty for intimidating someone who wasn't ready for her depth. And that didn't make her less desirable. It made her unforgettable. Because magnetism doesn't come from being desired by everyone. It comes from being remembered by one person as an emotional experience that touched something profound. That's the difference. A magnetic woman doesn't seek attention. She receives it without asking. She doesn't need to explain herself. She doesn't need to correct herself. She holds her energy, even in silence. And the most impactful thing is this. She doesn't manipulate. She doesn't use tricks. She doesn't play hard to get. She simply doesn't need to leave the center of her truth to please anyone. When she's happy, she laughs without asking permission. When she's hurting, she feels it honestly. When she wants distance, she takes it. And when she wants love, she doesn't beg for it, she invites it. Her body doesn't contract, it expands. Her voice doesn't tremble, it resonates. Her energy doesn't chase, it attracts, through sheer raw authenticity. And this isn't about masculine strength or emotional coldness. It's about a woman who no longer betrays herself just to please others. So, I'm going to leave you with some key points you can start practicing today to activate this vibration. Don't react from emptiness. When something hurts, don't act. Feel it. Observe whether what you're about to do comes from your power or from fear of losing. Don't rush to fill uncomfortable silences. A magnetic woman knows mystery isn't coldness. It's knowing how to hold emotional tension. The other person should feel they don't have full access to your inner world, only to what you choose to share. Speak with emotional power. Don't over-explain or justify yourself. Use short, measured sentences. Look them in the eyes. Leave space for the other person to read between the lines. Break patterns without warning. Are you always available? Disappear for a day? Are you always the one making plans? Wait instead. Changing your patterns creates a psychological impact the other person doesn't forget. Guard your energy more than your words. Don't focus only on what to say. Ask yourself, from what emotional state am I saying this? Is it coming from fear or from my center? Your emotional field communicates far more than any words. Don't reveal everything about yourself. Keep something sacred, so the other person feels there's a part of you that can't be possessed. That sense of mystery is addictive. The most important thing, a magnetic woman doesn't pretend. She knows herself. That's why she doesn't need to be chosen. She's already chosen herself. And when you live from that place, your energy becomes unmistakable. But be warned, all of this is useless if you don't do one crucial thing. Break free from predictable energy, from emotional linearity that makes you boring. Because what makes a woman unforgettable isn't just her power, it's her ability to be emotionally unpredictable from a place of authenticity. And that's exactly what I'll reveal in the next section. Get ready, because if you truly understand this, I can assure you of one thing. You will never again be perceived as a safe option. You stop being ordinary the moment you become emotionally unpredictable. Do you want to know the real reason why so many women become dispensable, replaceable, or simply forgotten? It's not because they're not beautiful. It's not because they're not intelligent. It's not because they're not enough. It's because they become predictable, energetically predictable, emotionally predictable, and anything that becomes predictable gets classified by the unconscious as safe. And the safe, the familiar, the constant, sooner or later, loses its deep emotional value for the human psyche. Carl Jung explained that the shadow doesn't only hold pain or trauma, it also stores your repressed power. And many women, afraid of losing love or wanting to keep it, turn themselves into linear, soft, accommodating characters, always in a good mood, always accessible, always available, always easy to figure out. And do you know what happens when someone feels they already understand you completely? They lose the drive to keep exploring you. A magnetic woman isn't chaos. She isn't drama. But neither is she a flat, controlled, anesthetized figure. She's a living emotional force who doesn't apologize for her intensity, for her changes, for her depth. She's a woman who is emotionally unpredictable, not because she's manipulating, but because she refuses to repress who she truly is. And to help you grasp this even better, let me tell you the story of Sabrina. Sabrina was everything many men claimed they wanted. Sweet, kind, sensitive. Yet they always ended up choosing someone else, someone messier, more unpredictable, less perfect. At first, Sabrina didn't understand, so she tried harder. She became even more correct, until she finally collapsed. In therapy, she discovered she'd eliminated every trace of emotional mystery from her life. She left no space for desire, for tension, for the unexpected. She was so predictable that she no longer made an impact. Then, she did something she'd never done before. She started allowing herself not to answer immediately, not to say yes to everything, to express her annoyance without fear, to cry if something touched her, to laugh loudly, to look people in the eyes with that energy of, I don't need to convince you of anything. And everything changed. One of her exes came back. Another told her, "I don't know what you did, but there's something about you now that intrigues me." She wasn't faking anything. She had simply stopped amputating herself emotionally. She stopped trying to be the ideal woman and became a woman fully alive. That's the secret. A magnetic woman isn't an actress. She's real, raw emotional energy expressed without fear. And that energy confuses those who are used to controlling others. It wakes up those who have been emotionally asleep. It unsettles those who once took you for granted. Because a woman who isn't afraid to show who she truly is, with all her intensity, her highs and lows, her raw and beautiful humanity, is an emotionally unpredictable experience. And that is unforgettable. It's something that remains etched in the unconscious of whoever met her. And even if they drift away, they'll always remember her as the woman they could never fully decipher. So I want you to internalize this. You're not here to be understood. You're here to be felt. You're not here to give a clear answer. You're here to be a question that sparks desire. You're not here to be the woman who never gets angry. You're here to show that even your anger vibrates with self-love. You're not here to be easy to handle. You're here to be authentic, complete, impossible to replace. And you achieve that the moment you give yourself permission to break the mold, to stop feeling like you have to constantly maintain emotional peace for others, and to stop thinking that being intense is a flaw. Because when you let go of control, your energy becomes liberated. And when your energy is free, your magnetism ignites. In the next section, I'll reveal the heart of all of this, how to become not just an attractive presence, but a profound emotional experience that a man can never replace. Get ready, because that's what will seal this entire transformation process. The vibration that can't be forgotten, how to be an experience, not an option. There are women who are merely a presence, and women who are an impact. The first might be pleasant, nice, even charming, but the second one leaves a mark on the soul, leaves an echo, and can never be forgotten. And if you're still here, listening to this message until this point, it's not because you just want to be liked or to please others. It's because deep down, you know you're here to leave a mark. Because you're tired of being part of someone's emotional background. Because you want to become the woman who leaves an unforgettable silence when she walks away. The woman who can't be replaced, even if someone tries. And to achieve that, you have to stop trying to be a valuable option and start being a total emotional experience. Carl Jung said that the unconscious responds far more strongly to symbols and experiences than to words or rational logic. And do you know what that means? That a man won't remember so much what you said or even how you looked, but rather how you made him feel. And that feeling gets imprinted on an archetypal level. A magnetic woman doesn't become unforgettable because of her looks, nor because of what she gives, but because of the unique emotional vibration she transmits. It's the soul behind her words. It's the fire behind her gaze. It's the quiet confidence with which she doesn't rush to prove anything, and yet everything about her leaves a mark. Let me tell you a story that illustrates this with brutal clarity. Luciana was different, not because she was rebellious or loud. She was gentle, but firm, tender, but untamable. She'd been dating a man for 2 months. There was no drama, no chasing. He drifted away, and she didn't beg. No reproaches, no cryptic messages, just silence. A silence so powerful, so clean, so inexplicably secure that a few weeks later he came back. But Luciana didn't, and that broke him. Not because she was cruel, but because the vibration she'd left in his life was impossible to compare to anything else. She was presence. She was truth. She was an awakened soul. She was a woman who didn't pretend to be okay. She was okay. And that is something no man ever forgets. Why? Because when a man encounters a woman like that, he knows he's not in front of just another ordinary option. He's in front of an energy he can't control, an energy that doesn't need to convince him, an energy that doesn't fear his absence. And that's confronting. Because if you can be yourself without him, if you can shine without depending on him, if you can love without enslaving, then you are free. And the most magnetic thing in this world is a free woman. How do you build that vibration? Let me tell you clearly. First, free yourself from the character you created to fit in. Stop being the one who adapts to everything, who dims her light so as not to intimidate, who smiles when she wants to cry. Your authentic energy is 1,000 times more powerful than any emotional mask. Second, inhabit your body and your emotions like a temple. Breathe deeply. Walk with awareness. Feel your words when you speak. Don't speed up your energy out of anxiety. A woman who is slow, present, and connected disarms egos. Third, don't give all of yourself just because someone has paid attention to you. Your worth isn't measured by how quickly you give away your soul. A magnetic woman shares her energy like a rare jewel, not out of fear, but because she honors herself. Fourth, turn your silences into art. Don't explain everything, don't answer everything, don't justify everything. Let your energy speak when your words are silent, because a woman who knows how to hold silence powerfully ignites the emotional mind of anyone who knows her. And this isn't about manipulation. It's about creating an energetic field where only the real vibrates. Your genuine laughter, your steady gaze, your conscious silence, your shameless tenderness, your unapologetic fire. That is what cannot be forgotten. So yes, you can stop being the option who's always there, the one who tries so hard, the one who gives it all, and start being the experience no one dares to lose. Because you never know exactly when she'll appear, but when she does, she changes something inside you forever. And that, my dear, has no way back. You've become a woman who isn't sought after. She's remembered, desired, respected. And if you're wondering how to know whether you're succeeding in this transformation, I'll tell you in one single sentence. When someone thinks of you in silence and can't explain why, it's because your vibration is already living inside them. Get ready, because in the conclusion, I'm going to seal this transformation with a powerful emotional declaration to get the audience to comment, activate their energy, and mark this video as a before and after in their perception. If you've made it this far, it's no accident. Something inside you already knew. You already knew you weren't born to be a comfortable option, nor to beg for attention, nor to always be available for those who don't vibe with you. You were born to make an impact, to leave your mark on souls, to make your truth, your presence, and your energy impossible to ignore. This isn't just another video about how to be liked. This has been a map to inner power, to awaken that version of yourself who doesn't chase, but who attracts from the soul. Because when you stop trying to fit in, when you choose yourself with radical energy, when you stop trying to be liked and start shining instead, that's when you become the woman of his dreams. And not because you've changed for him, but because you've awakened everything you are, without fear. And now I want you to seal this experience with an act of power. I want you to go straight to the comments and write, "I'm no longer an option. I'm an experience." Write it if this video stirred something in you. Write it if you feel ready to stop silencing your energy. Write it if you know the time has come for your vibration, not to adapt, but to assert itself from authenticity. Commenting isn't just participating, it's activating your energetic field. It's declaring, "They won't forget me now, because now I feel myself." And believe me, that is felt. If this message resonated with your soul, it's time to take the next step. Subscribe right now to keep raising your vibration with every new video. Give this content a like so more souls can hear what has liberated you today. Share this video with anyone you know who also needs to let go in order to heal. And of course, leave your declaration in the comments so this message becomes imprinted in your energy. But above all, don't leave just yet. There's so much more waiting for you. Dive into the other videos here on the channel and keep expanding your energy and your power. I'll see you in the next video.